Let's be honest, Cuban cigars in 2025 are no longer a casual luxury. They've gone full boutique on us. So I'm going to talk to you about how to build your collection today. The right way, because there is a wrong way. Well, quite a few wrong ways. And I keep seeing people getting into this lifestyle, calling it a hobby, wanting to compete with seasoned aficionados and long-time collectors. There's two things that they do. They either buy the wrong cigars or they don't spend enough time developing their palate. Let's be honest, right? It's difficult. Currently, a Cohiba Siglo 6 will cost you about £150 for a single cigar. A box of 10, not even a cabinet of 25, will run you £1,500 in the UK. So, yeah, not an easy pill to swallow. So what do we do? Do we give up Cubans? Do we smoke more New Worlds or completely forget about new Cubans and go to New Worlds? Or completely stop smoking cigars? Well, I know the answer to that question for me personally. Not a chance. It ain't happening, ladies and gents. Okay, I hope that triggered your curiosity. I'm KD, these are my Leaf Diaries. Welcome again to another video. This video will be a little bit of a rant, more than a review. So let's see how you like that sort of content. I'm going to talk about Cuban prices, Cuban versus New Worlds, what's the right way to approach building a collection, and what can be a very wrong way in building a collection, because it does lead to selling your part of your collection. You just won't smoke it. Let's get into it. As I mentioned already, as pretty much all of you know, Cuban prices have been out of control ever since COVID. Ever since 2020, when Habanos, or the Chinese arm of Habanos, decided to triple, in some cases increase sevenfold certain vitolas in their portfolio, all of us have been struggling. Cigar prices go up every single year. We keep seeing regional editions, which are supposed to be an affordable edition of Habanos, reaching north of £100 per cigar. The Ramon Leones private stock 230, the UK regional, was reached about £130 per cigar retail. Por Larrañaga was launched at £87 retail. I was charged £87 in a very prominent UK retailer at the night of the launch for Por Larrañaga 47. Even the La Flor de Cana, the Selectos number 3, which was a horrible, dreadful cigar. To me personally, of course, that doesn't mean that you won't like it. It's still 46 British pounds. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Here's where things get a bit complicated when we start talking about, Habanos in particular, cigar prices. I've spoken in quite a few videos about prices based on the country. What I haven't mentioned too much is the reason why prices in all of the countries have jumped significantly. Well, it's quite simple. We're not just paying for inflation now in terms of price increases. We're not also just paying for product increase or labor increase. We can see in the news that in Cuba there is quite a big crisis in terms of quality of living and so on. People are running away from Cuba, so they can't be getting paid well. But at the same time, Habanos makes massive profits. So we're now paying for ultra premium products. If you've noticed in the last few years, the only products that are being pushed by Habanos are the premium lines, like the Partagas Linea Maestra, Romeo and Juliet Linea de Oro, Monte Cristo Linea 1935, all of the Cohibas, your Trinidads. Look at this year's Habanos Festival. Not a single standard edition cigar was announced. They actually announced 2 standard edition cigars on hush-hush, off the books as it were, i.e. not on festival, months after festival. Well, not months, weeks, many weeks after festival. But on festival, we saw what? Limited edition, anniversario boxes and custom humidors, things that will cost in the hundreds of thousands of pounds and tens of thousands of pounds. Things that the average aficionado like me and collector will probably, I won't say never try, because I keep saying never try, and then I go and spend a boatload of cash and I end up smoking some of them, not all of them. I can't go to, certain heights, especially with, like recently I saw that Caliman Caribe started advertising the Trinidad Fundadores, the vintage 10-year-old in a St. Dupont custom humidor. I mean, I'm sorry, it's over €1,000 for one cigar. It wasn't, I didn't make a mistake. Listen to what I'm saying. €1,000 per cigar. And that's the price in Bulgaria. I don't even want to think what the price will be in the UK. I've seen the humidors in a few places. They don't sell single cigars. They only sell the whole humidor. The full humidor is €50,000 for 50 cigars. So, yeah. That's one cigar I'll probably pass on. And then we talk about Trinidad Cabildos, where we're talking north of £200 per cigar now for the premium version, and about 100 and something, 130, 50 pounds for the normal version. The marketing tactics that Habanos is employing are just laughable at this point in time. Oh, we rolled a few million cigars and we laid them all on the ground and we searched for the best 100,000 cigars and we called them a premium line, and we're going to be selling them for north of £1,000 for a pack of 5 in a fancy leather, wrapped. Well, it's not even a humidor; it's a box. Some of you have asked me before, do I have one? Yeah, I had a few. I do have one in the collection now. But I'm not proud of that purchase. It was an impulse purchase. It's just who I am, unfortunately. I regret it instantly, but at the point of purchase, I don't. I get excited quite easily. So this is basically the shift. The difference in price, then we talk about the Habanos price increases. And like I said, this is because 50% of Habanos is owned by a Chinese conglomerate. That also owns Tabacalera, which is the Spanish distributor for Habanos. So since they took over 50% of the management, they own, obviously Cuba Tobacco owns the fields, the tobacco, the production. Habanos own the distribution and the marketing. Since they took over, prices have gone ballistic. And for those of you who don't know what ballistic means, it's basically out of this world, because a ballistic rocket needs to leave the atmosphere in order to get to the velocity it needs. So anyway, that's a bit of nonsense that I'm not going to go into right now. So going back to getting the right cigars in the right time and collecting the right cigars for your budget. Now, if I give you £150 now, what are you going to go and spend them on? You're going to spend them on one of these. This is a Cohiba Siglo 6, and this is exactly how much that cigar will run you up to, about £150 for this single cigar. Or you're going to do something a little bit smarter, especially if you're a new starter to the lifestyle, whose palate hasn't developed quite well yet. It's smoking something like this, if you've never smoked cigars, or you're smoking cigars for like a few months or a year, I can pretty much guarantee you it's the same thing as giving a strawberry to an elephant. This is quite an interesting comparison. A good friend of mine told me many years ago, feeding a strawberry to an elephant. It's a very sophisticated and delicate fruit, which many of us know and enjoy to the fullest. But an elephant wouldn't enjoy it, because it's an elephant. It wouldn't know what that is. It wouldn't even probably feel it. So I would avoid premium things like that if you are just starting. I would also avoid other premium things like that. That's a Trinidad Robusto Extra. It's about £400 for 3 cigars. So again, not something that you should be spending your money on, especially, again, I'll keep repeating this, especially if your palate has not been developed and your palate is not mature. It's a total waste of money if you ask me. You're going to enjoy it. You wouldn't know what it is though. You wouldn't enjoy it to the fullest, and also you're going to buy it and then your budget won't be enough to buy another cigar for a long time. Well, I'm only assuming, if you've got the funds, obviously, crack on. Here is another example, the latest Ramon Leones Absolutos limited edition. This will, when it comes to the UK, this is going to be 70-80 pound cigar. This is 45 francs if you can find it on the retail price. I was actually, so that's 900 Swiss francs, roughly 900 pounds for a box of 20. Although at the day of the release, I was told that the cheapest they will sell it in most of the shops in Switzerland is going to be 1900 francs for a box rather than 900. The reason why, as I mentioned in a few videos before, is because according to the retailers, the market is forcing them to do that, which, to me is not really fair. You wouldn't even go and spend it on something like this. The Petit Bellicoso, this is a Gran Bretagna, a UK regional from 2012. It's a vintage. It's an expensive cigar, if you can find it. And if you can find it, you're probably going to have to buy a box, which makes it even less accessible. I would actually start thinking about investing in brands that are not as popular, and vitolas that are not as popular, because there's so many underrated Cuban brands, like the Rafael Gonzalez, amazing. The Coronas de Londiales is an amazing cigar for, I think it was something like €7. It's 13 pounds in the UK still. You can buy a box for 130 pounds and you've got 10 cigars. Age them for a year or two and you get rewarded with a really, really good Cuban. Basic, but really good Cuban. Really good for the price. It's amazing. I smoke them all the time. There's nothing wrong with them. They're amazing. I highly, highly recommend them. Then you move into something like Punch. Punch is an amazing brand. In fact, I'm going to the Punch Nectares, the first ever regional in Dublin, this Sunday. So I'll take you with me on a vlog. Again, a very good option. So for example, a Punch will run you about £20 in the UK, roughly. Another option is the H. Upmann Magnum 46. Again, not something expensive, which will allow you to then start building your collection. You need to start from low and get to high. Everyone looks at my reviews, they see me smoking all these rare regionals. I get a lot of flack as well from some of my, from quite a few of my followers saying, why don't you review normal cigars? Not all of us can get access to, these expensive cigars. And I do review normal cigars. Of course, I do standard production cigars all the time. The problem is most of the standard production cigars are well known to the other side of the audience that I have, which are quite experienced aficionados and collectors, and they're not really interested because, here's a good example is the Bolivar Bellicosos Finos. This cigar is pre-60s, pre-1960s being available. What can I tell you about this cigar apart from it's amazing? Everyone knows it's amazing. It's a very, very robust cigar, but not much I can tell you in terms of, is it going to be interesting to you or not? Everyone knows it's interesting. It's actually affordable. It's difficult to find. Not in the UK, I'm talking about in Europe, essentially. Another good option to start off your collection with, if you can find them, La Gloria Cubana Turquinos. This cigar is very, very affordable. Obviously, it's a La Gloria, so amazing. If you can get your hands on this cigar, amazing. What can I tell you? Gordito format, 5.5 inches, 50 ring gauge, medium body cigar, light spice, some woodiness, some sweetness. You're paying about, I don't know what it is in the UK, about 30 odd pounds per cigar, but again, very good value for money. Is another one, Ramon Leones number 3. Sensational smoke, absolutely sensational. Again, I think it's 5 and 5/6 inches, something like that, and 52 ring gauge. Full-bodied cigar, cocoa, coffee, sweet, amazing, woody, nutty. What can I say? Sorry, the sun is super strong today. I chose to smoke outside today because it's quite hot. It's 28 degrees and sitting in the office is not quite nice. And I've actually been looking forward to sitting outside in the garden and doing a review. I did all that talking, and at the end, I'll smoke a La Casa del Habano. I can already hear your reactions. You gave us, I'll put some sunglasses. I can't. Sun is horrible. I know what you're gonna say. You gave us this massive speech, and you're now gonna smoke a La Casa del Habano edition rather than a standard edition. It's not because it's a La Casa del Habano edition. It basically, I pick cigars for two reasons. What cigars I'm going to choose? I choose cigars based on size, i.e. Vitola, and depending on the size, it will take a certain amount of time to smoke. When I have a particular amount of time to smoke, I'll pick a specific cigar to enjoy. So, for example, I wouldn't want to go for a double Corona right now, very simply because I don't have the time to spend the smoke over 2 hours. A cigar, this cigar, I can finish within the hour. Hence why I'm choosing it. This is one of the ways I pick my cigars. It's, by the way, this St. Dupont replica that a friend of mine is sending me from China. I mean, sensational. I absolutely love them for 160 quid. You know, if I lose them, if I have one stolen from me, and I've had a few genuine DuPonts stolen from me, and it's not a really nice experience to lose something that cost about 1,500 quid. So these are quite nice. So as I mentioned in my previous video, more reliable than your genuine DuPont, which especially the jet ones, the jet light DuPonts, the new versions, the Maxi Jets, the Biggies, the Slimmies, whatever they are, horrible quality, worst quality ever, made in China, all of them. The cutters, the cutter stands, again, made in China. You use them for about a month and they start opening themselves up by themselves, essentially. The stand, that is, it just starts flipping in and out. Unfortunately, for those of you who think DuPont is something special, I've got bad news for you. They're not really. They just charge a lot of money, and I'm not in for paying a lot of money for something that is not worth the price tag. Don't get me wrong, I still have my genuine DuPonts, but that's... Nowadays, I think people use genuine DuPonts just to show off, El Blues, just to show off. Look at me, I've got a 750 euro ashtray. Wow, amazing. I didn't buy this ashtray because of the price tag. I bought the ashtray because I love the color, and it basically pairs nicely with my custom accessories. That's why. But anywho, back to the story and the conversation. The reason why I went with La Casa del Habano again is the amount of time that I've got to smoke today. Here's what I can tell you from a strategic perspective in terms of when you start buying cigars, how to build up a good strategy that will allow you to build your collection in a manner that suits you. I will start by saying, if you're thinking that I'm gonna even mention New World cigars, I won't. And not because I hate New World cigars, it's because I'm the last person that you need advice from for New World cigars. I'm still learning. I love a lot of New World cigars. I have learned to enjoy them, but my palate is nowhere near developed in a way that in any meaningful way that I will be able to give you any meaningful advice on what to do with New World cigars. So I'll leave that aside. I'll talk to you about Cuban cigars because this is what I know. What I can tell you you should be doing is buy 10% of the cigars that you're buying that will be accessible on single cigars, and they are very expensive. because I know it's inevitable. I've spoken to too many of you to know that if whatever I say, you're still going to go and you're still going to spend the money on something that's been hyped up. So do you. That's absolutely fine. 10%. Spend 80% on standard production. So 80% of all your purchases have to be standard production. Start with light body cigars. Things like Hoyo de Monterrey, Q etc. Then build into light medium, into medium, then medium full, and then only into full cigars. If you've just started smoking cigars and you're getting into this world, don't go and buy Partagas D4 as your first cigar. I know a lot of you, it's been your first cigar, you swear by it, absolutely fine, but this is a damn strong cigar, very, very full body. It will blow your knickers. It's just not the right thing to do, in my humble opinion. Again, remember, this is my opinion. This is not something that you must listen. It's just what I would recommend. 80% standard production, 10% expensive. When I say expensive, I mean your ultra stuff like Trinidad, Cohiba, Partagas Linea Maestra, and so on. And then 10% of the cigars that you would like to buy should be regional editions. And try and age them. They're the most difficult to find. Usually they're reasonably priced if you can find them. Usually you won't be able to find them. You're gonna have to buy them from a reseller, at least one. If you can find the first reseller that's bought them retail, you'll buy them in a reasonable price. If you buy them from a reseller that buys from a reseller that buys from a reseller, then it becomes a bit difficult. But anyway, I would strongly recommend at least 10-20% of your collection to be regional edition cigars, because they are one-offs. They are more rare than limited edition cigars. So you should have them in your collection. The other thing I will tell you is, do not buy a box of cigars if you haven't smoked it in at least 3 to 5 single cigars of that particular vitola. So if you haven't had 3 to 5 superiores, don't go and buy a box. Don't go and buy a box just because KD told you or someone else told you. Go and buy 3 to 5 single cigars, enjoy them at your pace, try different pairings and see how they are. If you like them, go and buy a box, absolutely no problem. Now, when you buy that box, out of those, 80% that I'm talking about, when you go and buy boxes, that will fall into that 80% bracket. If you're buying standard production, buy 2 boxes. Hide one in the depths in your humidor, because I'm assuming if you buy a box, you've now upgraded to something like Germanas Vetter or something along those lines that can actually hold boxes. Now your humidor capacity is probably about 150, 200, 300 cigars. At this point, you buy 2 boxes so you can age one of them, and try to do anything within your power, even if you finish the first box, not to open the second one. Finish the first box, go and buy singles. Do not open that second box. Go and find singles. When we're talking standard production, 100% that should be the rule, because they are accessible and they are accessible everywhere. Well, most of them, not all of them. Same for La Casa del Habano, same for Habano Specialist. I don't rate them as ultra expensive, although lately, especially with the ultra premium boxes that Habanos is dishing out, they've gone quite expensive as well. So this is the type of advice I can give you to start off your collection. When I see an aficionado opening his desktop humidor to show off his collection, and I see, Hoyo de Monterrey Picure number 2, Picure Especial, Q 50, 54, 52, I see a Ramon specially selected, I see a La Gloria Cubana Turquinos, I know that this particular individual knows what he's doing. He's smart, he's taking his time, he's building his palette, and he's enjoying himself without going into debt or without spending stupid money to go and... here's an example. A lot of countries nowadays, the pioneers of that particular way of trading are the Netherlands, unfortunately. What they'll do is, you want a original edition box from them? Yeah, no problem. But to give you the chance to buy that original edition box, you need to buy a few very expensive Cohiba boxes and Trinidad boxes. So a case in point is the Ramon Aliones 40 carat, which is the one or two regionals back. A box that wasn't that expensive, roughly about €1,000 for 40 cigars. No, I can't remember what it was. Don't quote me, I can't remember what it was. Point being is, if you wanted to buy a box of these amazing, absolutely sensational cigars, which currently retail at £260 per cigar in London lounges, you have to buy a Cohiba Siglo de Oro box and a Cohiba this box and a Trinidad that box, and then the price goes up to €9,000. So if you've got the money to throw at it, of course you're going to get access. But instead of spending less than €1,000, you're going to end up spending 8, 9, 10,000 euros to get a box. Well, great stuff. And then what do you do with the Cohibas? You're gonna smoke them? Okay, great. How many of them can you smoke? Number one, can you afford? Sorry. I mean, if you're ultra rich, probably that video is not for you. I'm not ultra rich, so I'll probably won't be buying that box, as I didn't buy that box when they offered it to me. But I do know people that will go and buy just any cigar that anyone else tells them. I used to know people. They'll go and buy any cigar that anyone else tells them without even have tried one of those cigars. They'll go and buy and pay on top of what they should be paying. They'll go on auction and then they'll show off that box and they'll never touch it. Oh, I've got it. Great. Have you tried it? Yeah, no, I don't want to break my box. What's the point in having it if you're not enjoying it? Showing off without being able to even talk about the cigar is the worst thing for me. I laugh a lot when I see people like that. Once you've obviously build your collection, you've started to build your palette, you should be looking at exploring more La Casa del Habano edition cigars. You can distinguish them by that second ring, and you also need to start thinking about Habano Specialist. Then you can move on to premium edition cigars, limited edition cigars, and so on and so forth. My personal passion and the one edition cigar that I will be collecting until I'm smoking will be the original edition cigar. I love the hunt, I love the thrill, I love the fact that those cigars challenge me to travel, they challenge me to explore, they provide me with ability to meet new and exciting people and to build my relationships in pretty much every single country in Europe you can think of. And you can see in my vlogs, I am always traveling with a massive smile. Even if I've been traveling for 2 days and I'm completely exhausted, I still talk to you with a massive smile on my face. That should tell you how much I enjoy that. I did say I'm not going to talk about New World cigars, but I will tell you that New World cigars do have a place in your humidor. You should explore New World cigars, because if you say that you don't want to explore New World cigars, what you're basically doing is you're limiting the evolution of your palate. You won't be able to recognize certain aromas and certain tastes. It's just going to be impossible because you haven't smoked different types of tobacco, different enough to help you understand more minute flavors and aromas. Brands like Leaf by Oscar Valladares, brands like Padron, which a friend of mine from Sofia Stoyan has started educating me on, brands like CAO, which another friend of mine, Scott, is been exposing me to, brands like Davidoff. I don't really rate Davidoff too much, but they are good. So there's quite a lot of brands that you can try. Alex Bradley is another budget brand that is very good to try. What else? My Father is a very good brand, but these are very strong cigars. Now, Padron is also a very strong cigar. Liga Privada is also a very strong cigar. They're very good, but very strong. So these are cigars that I'll probably be looking at trying once I get a bit more experience and exposure to light to medium body Cuban cigars. If you want to know more, if you want to get more involved in conversations like that, feel free to check out my Telegram group. You'll be able to find the link in my link tree here. Reach out, join. It's a free community now. If you are a more experienced aficionado and you're looking to be more engaged, to share your experience, share cigar choices with a bunch of other aficionados, you're more than welcome to join my private club as well. It's growing slowly. The guys in that club are amazing, and I'm very much enjoying that conversation there. Feel free to reach out if you want to travel with me, if you want to come to Bulgaria and experience a cigar weekend, which is going to be very soon on the 4th, 5th and 6th of July in Sofia, Bulgaria. You can book your flights, your hotel. The only charge is £60 for the main evening in Cohiba Atmosphere Lounge, which will consist of a champagne reception, the latest Lancero Adriatico Juan Lopez edition for the Adriatic region, which is an amazing cigar with an 18-year-old rum in pairing. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that you can get involved with should you wish to. The next cigar vlog is going to be this weekend. It's going to start on Friday and finish on Monday, so it's going to be a long one. I'm going to be there Friday, I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. I'll need to double check my flights. So today's Tuesday, so in a few days time. So yeah, get involved. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you agree with what I've said, if you disagree with certain things that I've said, I'm open to any feedback. Negative, positive, constructive, whatever the case might be. Let me know what you think. Another thought that crossed my mind is I might consider doing a remote podcast where I record a Teams meeting with a specific individual and we go through a certain subject, something along the lines of cigar collecting or their experience, and that could be a very seasoned and experienced aficionado, or it could be someone that's starting just now. Doesn't really matter. Everyone has an opinion, everyone has their journey, and I'd be really interested in exploring, allowing someone to use my platform and share their journey. Reach out to me again if you wanna get involved. That's gonna be it from me for today. Cuban cigars are expensive, but they're not impossible if you know what you're doing. If you pace yourself, if you start smoking small and go smoking big after that. Don't rush into buying budget cigars that are not good. Don't rush into things like New World cigars that taste horrible. At least to me they did in the beginning. When my palate wasn't as developed as it is today. And yeah, drop me a comment, let me know, share your experience. I'll be really interested. Definitely get involved in the cigar herbs. I'm posting them on my website every month, every second Friday of the month usually. Sometimes I have to change the date, but usually every second Friday of the month. And the cigar herb is a very comfortable space where you can engage with more aficionados. You can learn, you can hear stories, you can ask questions of me, of other people as well. You can get answers live on a call whilst at the same time you're enjoying your cigar, your chosen pairing in the comfort of your own home. And if you're more adventurous, then let's go traveling. I think anyone that comes will be quite impressed, is going to enjoy quite nicely. Something that will be a not that expensive trip and an amazing 2-3 days experience with like-minded people. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe. That's all I can say. And I'll end the video here. I hope you liked that rant. It's quite a long one, but I thought I need to give that importance and that stretch of time to explain what I think about Cuban cigar prices and to give some advice on how people can start collecting cigars, because a lot of people are struggling, number one, with prices, and number two, to stay away from certain cigars and boxes in their humidor. I'm the guiltiest one in you know, smoking all my cigars quicker than I should be. Casing point was a box that I bought in my last trip to Andorra of Partagas Maduro #2. I said that I'm gonna be aging it and not touch it, and I ended up opening it straight on the airport in Madrid. So there you go. But hey, that's me. I'm kind of used to it now. So catch you in the next video, ladies and gents. I'm KD. These were my Leaf Diaries. Looking forward to the next meetup. Have a nice evening.